ஆழ்வார் திருவடிகளே சரணம். எம்பெருமானார் திருவடிகளே சரணம். பிள்ளைலோக்காச்சாரியர் திருவடிகளே சரணம். ஜீயர் திருவடிகளே சரணம். ஜீயர் திருவடிகளே சரணம். Mumukshupadi is a very foundational grantham for Sri Vaishnavas. Pillalokacharya, out of his great compassion, composed this beautiful grantham, which brings out the deep meanings of Rahasyatrayam, Tirumantram, Dvayamahamantram, Charmashlokam. These three put together are known as Rahasyatrayam. Every Mumukshu, liberation seeker, every Sri Vaishnava must learn Mumukshupadi, which gives great insights into this Rahasyatrayam. First we get the Mantropadesham from Acharya during Panchasanskaram. These three mantrams are explained, are first given as Upadesham as part of the Panchasanskaram, and subsequently we should learn the meanings for these three mantrams or these three rahasyams from the Acharya and other scholars whenever possible. Pillalokacharya documented the meanings of Rahasyatrayam in the form of sutrams. Sutrams are generally short and cryptic and will have deep meanings. Manavada Mamnigal has written beautiful commentary for this Mumukshupadi. Manavada Mamnigal, also known as Sri Varavara Muni, was greatly known and was popularly known as Yati Punaravataram, Ramanuja's reincarnation. So Manavada Mamnigal is also an incarnation of Adishesha. We have already seen in the beginning itself that Pillalokacharya was an incarnation of Varadaraja Bhagavan himself. So Bhagavan and Adishesha, this wonderful combination, they have given us great gems in the form of Mumukshupadi, Tattvatraya and Sri Vachanabhushana. All these three were composed by Pillalokacharya, and Manavada Mamnigal gave commentaries for all these three. And these three are considered as the main Kalakshepa Granthams for Sri Vaishnavas. We all learn the deep meanings of our Siddhantam and Sampradayam through these three Granthams essentially. Among these three, Mumukshupadi is considered as the foremost because it clearly explains Rahasyatrayam, and we have started seeing the meanings of Mumukshupadi with the help of Mamnigal's commentary. So far we have seen up to 57th Sutram in Mumukshupadi. The section concluding with 57th Sutram explained greatly about Akarartham along with the Lupta Chaturthi, the hidden case, that is fourth case which is present in Akaram. Just as Narayanaya has Aya in the end, similarly Akaram in the beginning of Pranavam also has Aya, but it is hidden. This Akara and Aya gives out wonderful meanings, and Mamnigal has actually a small summary section after the 57th Sutram Let us first see that section. In this section, Mamnigal brings out the four meanings which are essentially found in Akarartham, in Akara. So Pranavam has Akara, Ukara and Makara. Akara represents Sriman Narayana, Bhagavan, and this Akara has four important meanings in it. Those four meanings are Bhagavan's Karanatva, Rakshakatva, Shriyapatitva and Sheshitva. These four important principles, important meanings are revealed in Akara, and Mamnigal explains how these four principles are revealed. So first, there is Prakriti Artha, that is the natural meaning of Ishvara. That Ishvara by nature is the cause of everyone. So that is Karanatva. Bhagavan being the cause of everything is explained in Akara, and we have seen all of these in the previous sutrams. Just as Bhagavan is Karanam for everything, and just as Akara, the letter A, is the cause, is the origin for all the words and letters, there is a common relationship between Akaram and Narayana, and there is also the principle that Narayana is explained in short, in brief, in Akara. Hence, Akara talks about Karanatvam, and which this quality of Karanatvam is very important quality of Bhagavan, because he is the origin of everything. Whatever we see in this material world, whatever is present in the spiritual world, everything is originating from Bhagavan. Everything is a transformation of his own energy, his own body. So that Karanatvam is the first principle which is being explained. Second principle, second meaning which is available in Akaram, that is the quality of Rakshakatvam in Bhagavan. This Rakshakatvam is identified, is revealed by the Dhatvartha, that is the Dhatu, etymology of the word. Akara explains Avarakshane, to protect. So Bhagavan is the natural protector of all. He is known as Sarvarakshaka, and hence Akara has, and also Akara by etymology, the root word has Avarakshana as the meaning. Hence this Rakshakatvam is also present in Bhagavan, and it is revealed in Akaratvam, in Akara. Then third meaning, third principle which is explained here is Shriyapatitvam, Bhagavan being the Lord of Sri Mahalakshmi, and this comes based on Arthabala, that is Bhagavan is always with Sri Mahalakshmi, Pirati. It is said in Alvar's Pasuram also, Agalagillen Irayum Endru Alarmel Mangai Uremarba. Pirati says that I will never separate your divine chest, and she stays in Bhagavan's divine chest always. So Bhagavan is always inseparable from Pirati. So based on this Shriyapatitvam is also present in Akaram, and it is an important quality of Bhagavan. And finally, the Sheshitvam, that is Bhagavan being the Lord, is identified by Pratyaya. Pratyaya is suffix Aya. The Aya which is present in the end of Narayana, which is the same observed in Akara also, the hidden case, the Lupta Chaturthi, the fourth case, which is Tadartya Chaturthi. We have seen that previously. Tadartya Chaturthi means existing for someone fully. So that explains that Bhagavan is the Sheshi and everything else is Shesham. Everything else is for his use. Everything else is for his purpose. So these four aspects are the four meanings which are present in akara. This akarartha is explained thus with these principles, with these sutrams by Pillalokacharya. So Mamnigal concludes this section which is explaining the meaning of akarartham, which is explaining the meaning of akara by saying that this akara carries these four meanings of Bhagavan, four qualities of Bhagavan, that is Karanatvam, Rakshakatvam, Shriyapatitvam and Sheshitvam. These four qualities are most important for Bhagavan and they are all explained in Akaram itself. So thus Akaram is explained clearly by Pillalokacharya. Next, we are going to see the meanings of Ukaram. We are going to see Ukarartham. Let us see Mamnigal's introduction to 58th Sutram. 58th Sutram's introduction. Mamnigal says, subsequently, Madhyamakshara, that is the middle akshara, middle syllable in Pranavam, which is Ukara. For that, Pillalokacharya is desiring to mercifully explain the meaning for that, and he starts saying Sthana Pramanatale Ukaram Avadharanartham. So that is 58th Sutram. Sthana Pramanatale Ukaram Avadharanartham. Now Sthana Pramana means the example by position, that is previous use of Ukara to emphasize something. Having seen that in other pramanams, in other scriptural references, we can see that Ukara is used for emphasis, to emphasize something. So here the concept is Ukara is highlighting the exclusive relationship between Bhagavan and Atmas. That is the purport. So to explain that, Pillalokacharya is giving step by step guidance for us. So first he says, by the Sthana Pramanam, that is previous usage of this particular Ukaram, wherever there is emphasis, this Ukaram is used. Based on that, Ukaram is highlighting the emphasis aspect in it. So that is the meaning of the sutram, simple meaning of the sutram. Let us see the commentary given by Mamnigal. So Mamnigal has given examples for Sthana Pramanam from Shastram. So he is quoting Tadeva Bhutam Tadubhavyama idam, and there is another Pramanam Tadeva Agnis Tadvayus Tat Suryas Tatu Chandramaha. So there is a couple of Pramanams here where it is explained where we can understand that Ukara, U, is used in place of Eva. For example, let us take this first Pramanam, Tadeva Bhutam, Tadu Bhavyama Idham. This is from Taittiriya Narayana Upanishad. So here it is said that Tadeva Bhutam, that is Tat here indicates Paramatma, Eva, he is the Bhutam, he is the past. And Bhavyama Idam, Tadu Bhavyama Idam. So here in the first word Shastram uses Tadeva, and the second time instead of saying Eva, it is saying Tadu. So U is used to represent Eva. So Eva is he is only, or he is the. So that Eva is represented by U. So This is the point which is delivered by Pillalokacharya. He is saying to explain eva who is used in this particular place. So that means eva is the same as ukara. So both are focusing on that emphasis aspect, that Bhagavan is the past, Bhagavan will be the future and present. So in both cases, meaning is the same, but two different words are used. One place eva is used, the other place ukaram is used. So this is the main point which is being highlighted by Pillalokacharya here. Same example, in the next example we see, it's also in the same Taittiriya Narayana Upanishad. Tadeva agnis, tad vayuhu, tad suryaha, tadu chandramaha. So here also tadeva agnihi, he is the Supreme Brahman, is the Agni, fire, he is Vayu, he is Surya, and then when it says Chandrama, he is the moon, the Shastram is saying Tadu Chandrama. So Ukaram here is also used to represent Eva. So this concept of Ukaram being used to represent exclusivity or emphasis, that is first proven by Pillalokacharya in this 58th Sutram, saying that by Sthana Pramanam, by previous positional explanations, we can understand that Ukaram is being used to emphasize something. So here the emphasis is Bhagavan is the owner for Atma. So Atma is to serve Bhagavan. So that is the emphasis here. The concept of servitude between Atma and Bhagavan, Atma being the servitor, is explained here in the Ukaram. In the 59th Sutram, he is explaining it further, Pillalokacharya is explaining it further. Let us see Mamnigal's introduction for this section. He is saying that there are two ways of emphasis. So Avadharana means emphasize. There can be two ways of emphasizing. One is through Ayoga Vyavachedam and the other is Anya Yoga Vyavachedam. So there are two ways of explaining it. So this two ways of explaining is possible, and here Mamnigal is questioning whether it is Ayoga Vyavachedam or Anya Yoga Vyavachedam. Now Ayoga Vyavachedam means confirming or exclusion, like identifying exclusivity. Now in this exclusivity, whether it is total exclusion by identifying individual qualities, like Ayoga Vyavachedam is highlighting the qualities of individual and explaining the exclusivity there. Anya Yoga Vyavachedam means saying that it is not belonging to anybody else. So this positive affirmation, positive emphasis and negative emphasis, we can see it like that. Here the question here is whether it is positive exclusivity or positive emphasis or negative emphasis. Negative emphasis means excluding someone else and emphasizing on one person only. Which way is it? That is the question here, and Pillalokacharya is answering this question in the 59th Sutram. He is saying, Ittal Pirarku Sheshamandru engirathu. So with this, the simple meaning for this 59th Sutram is, with this, that is with this particular Ukara, the emphasis here is to say that Atma is not a servitor of anyone else. That is the main principle being explained here. So it is to say that we are eliminating the possibility of Atma being servitor of anyone else. When we go through the commentary of Mamunigal, we will have a better understanding of this. But here the principle to understand is Atma is not a servitor of anyone else. That is the point being driven by this ukaram here. The usage of ukaram is in the context of saying that Atma is not a servitor of anyone else. It is only the servitor of Bhagavan. So that is the main point being driven here. So when we see the commentary, we'll understand it better. So this ukara, which is highlighting avadharanam, this emphasis, and emphasis is on what? The emphasis on Atma being a servitor to Bhagavan. That is the emphasis here. But more than saying Atma is servitor of Bhagavan, the scope here is to impress upon the fact that Atma is not a servitor of anyone else. That is the main scope here, main focus here. Because when we have Chaturthi here, we have already seen that there is Aya, that is Chaturthi Vibhakti, that is the fourth case, where it is saying that this Atma is existing for the purpose of Bhagavan. So Atma is Makaram, Akaram is Bhagavan, and Aya is the Chaturthi Vibhakti, where it says that Atma is existing for Bhagavan. Now the purpose of Ukara is to say that Atma is not existing for anyone other than Bhagavan. Now when it is said already, the question here, Mamunigal is raising a question in the commentary here, when it is said already that Atma is existing for the purpose of Bhagavan, is there a scope for a question being raised here that can the Atma be a servitor of someone else also? Is there even a scope for that? When it is said that Atma is a servitor of Bhagavan, is there even a question of Atma being a servitor of someone else? That is the question here, and Mamunigal himself is answering that. Now, in this world, we see that when somebody is a servitor of another person, or when a property is present for some particular person. So it can be, for example, a father has a son, a father has a particular house. Now, though the father has full ownership over the son and the property, we see that the son or the property are also being put to serve somebody else. For example, a guest may come and he may be using the house for some time. The son may go out and work in some office. He may be working in some company. So at that time, he may be serving his boss, his company. So we see in the world that even though when we say that a person is a servitor, is owned by another person, that person who is owned, that servitor, can still be engaged in somebody else's service also. So we see that in this world, in the matter of griha, that is house, land, kshetra, and then in the case of putra, son, or in the case of dasas, servitors, servants, in these cases, we see that even though when one person or one particular object is existing for another person, we see that that particular object or the servitor, he is also engaged in service of somebody else. Because such question can be raised, because such situations exist in this world, we may get a doubt that Atma can also be a servitor of somebody else while being the servitor of Bhagavan. So, to eliminate that doubt, Pillalokacharya is clearly saying here that Atma is not the servitor of anyone else, and that is the meaning which is being clearly highlighted in Ukara. The main principle of Ukara, the main meaning of Ukara is to emphasize that Bhagavan is the exclusive owner of Atma and Atma is to exclusively serve Bhagavan only. This is the main principle of Ukaram which is to be understood. So that is the 59th Sutram's meaning. These are a little bit technical. Some of these require deep knowledge in Sanskritam grammar also. Even I have to admit that I am not sound in Sanskritam grammar, but we are basically explaining based on Pillai Lokacharya's Sutram and Mamunigal's commentary and whatever I have heard from the Acharyas and the scholars. Whatever little I have understood I am trying to explain. So please bear with me a little bit because this is very, very technical and the concept here is easy to understand with the example. We have seen the example. For example, if a servant is there, he serves the master for some 8 hours, 10 hours. After that he goes and serves somebody else. Will that be applicable in the case of Atma? That is the question. And with the help of Ukaram, it is established by Pillai Lokacharya that that kind of concept is not acceptable in the case of the relationship between Atma and Bhagavan. Atma is exclusively a servitor of Bhagavan only and he is not a servitor of anyone else. So that is the main principle to understand here, and we will see further some more examples will be given by Pillai Lokacharya in due course. We will see that. That is 59th Sutram. Now we will move on to the 60th Sutram. This 60th Sutram is a little bit of a deviation from the subject here. It is not a real deviation, but it is an alternative view of Ukaram. What is the second view of Ukaram? How do some Acharyas see Ukaram based on again some Shastric evidences, some quotes in Shastram. There is a second view of Ukaram and that is being explained in this 60th Sutram. Mamunigal's introduction. Alternatively, in this particular Ukaram, the servitorship towards Lakshmi, Sri Mahalakshmi, is explained as per a few other Acharyas, and that is explained by Pillai Lokacharya. So this is the viewpoint of some Acharyas that Ukaram also represents Sri Mahalakshmi and it also emphasizes that this Atma is a servitor of Mahalakshmi, Sri Tayar. So that is the introduction, and the Sutram is பெரிய பிராட்டியாருக்கு சேஷம் என்கிறது என்றும் சொல்லுவார்கள். Some Acharyas say that this Ukaram explains the servitorship of Atma towards Periya Piratiyar. Periya Piratiyar means Sri Mahalakshmi Tayar. So there exists a viewpoint that Ukaram indicates that Atma is a servitor of Sri Mahalakshmi also. Let us see Mamunigal's commentary. Now he is quoting a few references, a couple of references from Sri Pancharatram. Sri Pancharatram is the Agama which was explained by Bhagavan himself to 5 different personalities, and this Sri Pancharatra Agama is quoted in many places by our Acharyas. Some of the essential principles of Sri Vaishnava Sampradayam are based on references from Sri Pancharatra Agamam. I mean, they are in Vedam also, but they are clearly explained in Sri Pancharatra Agamam, and our Acharyas have quoted in many places such quotes. So Mamunigal is now explaining this principle through some quotes. So these quotes, they talk about the nature of Mahalakshmi Tayar, Pirati, which is being explained in Sri Pancharatra Agama. So there is a quote first. Akaraha चित् स्वरूपस्य विष्णोः वाचक इष्यते उकारः चित् स्वरूपाय श्रियो वाची तथा विदुः मकारस्तु तयोर दास इति प्रणवलक्षणम्. So प्रणवलक्षणम्, the nature of pranava is detailed in this particular pramanam, in this particular shlokam. So here it is saying that akaraha chit swarupasya vishnor vachaka ishyate. So this akara indicates a chit, a sentient being, and that is Vishnoho, Bhagavan, Sriman Narayana. Similarly, ukara also embodiment of knowledge, embodiment of consciousness, and that represents Sri Mahalakshmi, Sri Pirati. Makaraha is also an embodiment of knowledge, who is a servitor, Dasabhuta, of both Vishnu and Lakshmi. So from this quote we can understand that Ukara represents Mahalakshmi, and whatever we saw in Aya, same applies here also. Pirati is together with Vishnu, Mahalakshmi is together with Vishnu, hence that Aya applies to her also, and hence that servitude is applicable for Jivatma towards both Bhagavan and Mahalakshmi. So that is one pramanam. There is another quote. Akareno chyate Vishnuhu sarvalokeshvaro harihi udruta Vishnuta Lakshmir ukare nochyate ukarena uchyate sada makarastu tayor vipra Sri Narayanayos sada Atma na cheshabhutasya vachakah shruti choditah. Again this shlokam also explains similar principle. Akarena uchyate Vishnuhu sarvalokeshvaro harihi udruta Vishnuna Lakshmir ukarena uchyate sadha. So Bhagavan is indicated by Akaram. Ukara indicates Sri Mahalakshmi and Makara indicates Jivatma, who is subservient to both of them. So in this pramanam also the same principle is explained, that Jivatma is a servitor of both Mahalakshmi and Bhagavan. So in this Bhagavad Shastram, Sri Pancharatnam is known as Bhagavad Shastram. In this Bhagavad Shastram, Akaram is indicated through Bhagavan is indicated through Akaram, Lakshmi is indicated through Ukaram, and Jivatma, who is a servitor of both, is indicated through this Makarartham indicates Jivatma, and hence this Ukarartham can be considered as Mahalakshmi instead of Avadharanartham. Previously we saw that it is used as Avadharana to emphasize the exclusivity. Instead of that, it can also, Ukara can also mean Mahalakshmi, Periya Piratiyar, and it can be said that Jivatma is servitor of Periya Piratiyar also. And we have already seen that. We have seen that when one signs up a person as a servitor, the contract will be made on the name of Bhagavan, but the person will be working for the lady of the house. So we have already seen that the Jivatma is servitor of Mahalakshmi also. So that principle can also be seen here in Ukarartham. Originally it was explained that it was explained in Akarartham itself. So this is why Mahalakshmi is indicated both in Akarartham, in Akara as well as in Ukara. So in both Pirati's presence can be seen, but it can be better seen in Akarartham, and Ukarartham can better imply the exclusive emphasis of Jivatma's servitude towards Bhagavan. So that is explained in the 60th Sutram. Now in the 61st Sutram, Mamnigal gives the introduction here saying, Pillulokacharya goes back to the first interpretation, first viewpoint of Acharyas of the Avadharanartham, for the ukaram, that is emphasis, exclusivity, which is emphasized in avadaranam, that is more important, that has more predominance, and the second viewpoint has got less importance. So that is the introduction here. In the 61st Sutram, Pillilokacharya says, Adilum Anyasheshatvam Kadigaya Pradhanam. So more than explaining that Ukaram represents Mahalakshmi, the removal of servitude towards others is rather important. So considering the two viewpoints, eliminating the servitude towards others and being a servitor of Mahalakshmi, in these two viewpoints, more than the second point, first point is taking precedence. It is taking more importance. That is the simple meaning, and that is explained by Mamnigal in the commentary. So saying servitor, saying that Ukara represents Mahalakshmi and Jivatma is a servitor of Mahalakshmi is not as important, not as essential as in the case of saying that Ukaram represents exclusive servitude towards Bhagavan and eliminating the servitude towards anyone else. So that is the main principle to be understood here. So this eliminating servitude towards others is more important, because already we have explained that Jivatma is a servitor of Pirati also. So we need not emphasize that again. So in Sanskritam usually they say Punarukti, that is repeating the same meaning again. So that is not required here, that is not necessary here, because it's already established. So what is more important here is to say that the Jivatma is exclusively a servitor of Bhagavan only, and he is not a servitor of anyone else. So that is the meaning of 61st Sutram. And in the 62nd Sutram, Mamnigal gives an introduction. He is asking, he is raising the question here, or he is rather saying, Pillilokacharya is raising a question. Is Anyaseshatvam, that is being a servitor of somebody else other than Bhagavan, is it so bad? Is it so cruel? And Pillilokacharya is explaining the cruelty or the inferiority in being a servitor of someone else with an example. So that is the 62nd Sutram, starting with Devargalukku. So 62nd Sutram is தேவர்களுக்கு சேஷமான புரோடாசத்தை நாய்க்கிடுமா போலே ஈஸ்வர சேஷமான ஆத்ம வஸ்துவை சம்சாரிகளுக்கு சேஷமாக்குகை. So here the simple meaning for this sutram is தேவர்களுக்கு சேஷமான புரோடாசத்தை. So imagine there is a beautiful fire sacrifice going on, a huge fire sacrifice going on, and we have meticulously prepared some offering which is to be given in the fire sacrifice to the devas, to the devatas. Usually the devatas are the ones who receive the offerings which are given in fire sacrifices. Fire Agni Deva is considered as the conductor. He receives the offerings and then he submits it to others, all the other devatas who are the recipients of the offerings. So this fire sacrifice, we have prepared some offering meticulously and carefully with lots of effort. If such offering is given to a dog, how will that feel? It will feel very disgusting, right? So similarly, Ishvara Sheshamana Atma Vastu, this Atma Vastu, this Atma, which is a servitor of Ishvara, if that Atma is placed under samsaris, worldly people who are always engaged in materialistic activities, if the Atma is placed in a subordinate position to samsaris, if we submit ourselves to worldly people, that will be similar to a beautiful fire sacrifice arena where good fire sacrifice is happening. There is a nice offering which is being prepared, and if that offering is given to a dog instead of given in the fire sacrifice, it will be same as offering our Atma to materialistic people, offering our Atma to samsaris. So that is the simple meaning for the sutram. Let us see Mamunigal's commentary here. So here Mamunigal is saying that the devatas who are worshipable by worldly people, by the material, these humans in this world. So when the people of this world who are engaged in some fire sacrifice, when they prepare some wonderful offering and they vow that this particular offering is for devatas such as Indra, Varuna and so on in a fire sacrifice, and after that if they give it to a dog, and here instead of saying just dog, Mamunigal explains, giving some context, saying that a dog can neither be seen nor be touched. Generally, we should not see a dog and we should not touch a dog. That is the instruction from Shastram. Shastram says we should not touch a dog and we should not even see a dog. Dog is unqualified for that, and it is very, very lowly. It is very inferior. Among the animals, it is considered as a very dirty animal. We cannot say this in the current scenario because a lot of people have dogs as pets. But Shastram says that one cannot touch or see a dog. Such, if the wonderful offering was given to a dog, how would that feel? The same principle applies for the Atma, who is the natural servitor of Bhagavan, who is the apt Lord for the Atma. Bhagavan is the apt Lord for all the Atmas. If such Atma is placed in a humble way in front of samsaris who are to be given up. Samsaris means those materialistic people. We must give up association with these materialistic people. And if we place the Atma in front of such samsaris, that will be similar to placing a wonderful offering in front of, which was prepared for the fire sacrifice. And if that was placed in front of dog, that is the same thing as placing Atma under the samsaris. So, this sutram is very, very important, where Pilulokacharya is quoting Shastram and saying that we cannot place the Atma in a subservient role to any samsari, any materialistic person. This is very careful wording by Pilulokacharya. He is not saying we cannot place the Atma in a subservient role to anyone other than Bhagavan. Here he is carefully saying that we cannot we cannot place the Atma in a subservient role towards materialistic people. What does that mean? That means that Atma can be placed at a subservient position, under a subservient position towards Bhagavatas, Acharyas, Mahalakshmi, Bhagavan. So all of those are suitable, apt to receive our servitude. It is only the materialistic people who cannot receive our servitude. So this principle is explained here in the 62nd Sutram. Now in the 63rd Sutram, again Pilulokacharya is emphasizing the fact that more than becoming a servitor of Bhagavan, one must first eliminate the servitude towards other materialistic people. Let us see Mamunigal's introduction here. Here Mamunigal is saying that this cruel Anyasheshatvam, that is submissiveness towards others, materialistic people, is the primary desire for Atma, should be the primary desire for the Atma. This was explained previously also. Now Pillai is firmly establishing it, saying Bhagavad Sheshatvatilum Anya Sheshatvam Kaligaye Pradhanam. That is the Sutram, 63rd Sutram. Bhagavad Sheshatvatilum Anya Sheshatvam Kaligaye Pradhanam. So even more than becoming a servitor of Bhagavan, it is important to eliminate the servitude towards others. That is more important. So even one can become a servitor at some potential possibility at some time, but before that one must first be free from being a servitor of materialistic people. So that is the simple meaning for 63rd Sutram. So here Mamnigal is explaining in the commentary. So first, that is in 61st Sutram, Pillai Lokacharya established that one must give more importance to eliminating Anyasheshatvam, eliminating servitude towards others, even more than becoming a servitor towards Bhagavan, becoming an exclusive servitor towards Bhagavan. So we saw that there were two concepts. One is Avadharanartham, which is exclusive servitude towards Bhagavan, and then the second is servitude towards Mahalakshmi Tayar. So in that 61st Sutram, it was established that more than Lakshmi Seshatvam, that is more than being a servitor of Lakshmi, it is important to eliminate servitude towards other. And in this Sutram, 63rd Sutram, Pillai Lokacharya is saying, okay, that is good, but even more than that, there is a higher principle, which is whether you become a servitor of Bhagavan or not is also secondary. But before that, first be free from other servitude towards others. So that is the more important concept for individuals to understand. So that is the meaning for 63rd Sutram. So they are emphasizing so heavily on eliminating servitude towards others, that is materialistic people. Now when we say materialistic people, that includes all humans, all devatas, right from the smallest devata to biggest devata, Brahma. Brahma is the topmost devata for this world, and then Brahma, after Brahma there is Rudra, there is Skanda, there is Durga, there is all the other devatas. It is so important for us to first be free from servitude towards all the other devatas. So it is clearly emphasized and established that is the primary goal for the Atma, because that is contrary to the Jivatma Swarupam. The Swarupam of Jivatma is to be a servitor of Bhagavan. If any other influence is there, then that Swarupam can never be attained. So that is why it is greatly emphasized here. So 64th Sutram, Mamnigal says that Pillai Lokacharya is giving an example, a pramana, that is a quote from trustworthy sources to establish this principle. From Alvar's Pasurams, Marandum Purandara Mandar, this is from Tirumazhi Alvar's Nanmugan Tiruvandadi Pasuram. So the Sutram, 64th Sutram is Marandum Purandara Mandar Enkayale. So the meaning for this Sutram is, because Alvar says Marandum Purandara Mandar, that is the meaning for this Sutram. Because Alvar says Marandum Purandara Mandar, one should eliminate servitude towards other materialistic people. That is the meaning of this 64th Sutra. Mamnigal's commentary here. This Marandum Purandara Mandar is a pasuram in Tirumazhi Alvar's Nanmugan Tiruvandadi. This pasuram is the gist or the summary of Yamakinkara Samvadam. Yamakinkara Samvadam is the conversation between Yama and his servitors. Yamadharma Raja once tells his servitors that you don't go near the Vishnu Bhaktas, because Vishnu is my Lord. You think that I am the Lord of everyone. Everyone thinks that Yamadharmaraja is the final authority for the journey of the Atma in this world. And the Yama's servitors also think like that. But Yama once invites his servitors and he tells them, don't think that I am the Lord of all. Yes, I am the Lord of materialistic people, but I also have a Lord. I have a master, and that is Vishnu, Bhagavan Sriman Narayana. And Vishnu Bhaktas, those who are dear to Vishnu, they cannot be touched by us. You cannot go near them. You cannot go and pull them into death. You cannot do that. So that is the instruction of Yama to his servitors. Based on this samvadam, this discussion, this conversation, Tirumalishi Alvar, Bhaktisara Yogi, he has given a pasuram, Tirambien min kandir, Tiruvadidan namam, Marandum Purandala Mandar. Further, there is the instruction which is Yama saying, don't bother them, to his servitors. So he is saying, don't bother Vishnu Bhaktas, you leave them and they will be taken care of Vishnu Dutas. They will be taken care by Vishnu Dutas. That is the concept further explained. But the main principle here is Tiruvadidan Namam Marandum Purandala Mandar. Tiruvadi means Bhagavan. Tiruvadi, generally we may see Tiruvadi as divine feet, but Tiruvadi also means Swami, Lord. So Tiruvadidan Namam Marandum, so it should be seen as this. Tiruvadidan Namam Marandum. Even though one may forget the name of Tiruvadi, name of the Lord, Puram Tola Mandar, they will not go and worship any other Devata, any other humans, any other mortal beings. So this is the way it should be understood. Marandum Puram Tola Mandar. Some people may just say that even forgetfully they will not go and worship other Devatas. That may also be the meaning, but that is not the main meaning. The main meaning here is, even if they forget Bhagavan's divine name, they will not go and worship anybody else. That is the meaning of this particular pasuram, particular portion in the pasuram. Now the question here is, here Tirumalishi Alvar is explaining the nature of Bhagavatas. He is giving the Lakshanam of Bhagavata, Bhagavata Lakshanam, how a Bhagavata will be there. So while saying that, he is saying, Tirumalishi Alvar is saying, even if they forget the name of the Lord, they will not worship, they will not go and worship anyone else. So because Tirumalishi Alvar has said this, it is a proper authoritative statement for us. It is a proper instruction for us that we should never go and worship or associate even with any Devata. So that is a very clear instruction from Tirumalishi Alvar. This we can understand through a Laukika example, worldly example, very easily. There is a husband and wife. Let us see this example. Husband and wife are there, because this is very apt. All the Atmas are in the feminine state and Bhagavan is the only masculine person, Purushottama. All the other Atmas are three. So there is the Bhartru Bharya Sambandham which is available between Bhagavan and Atmas. Bhagavan is Bharta and Atmas are Bharya. All the Atmas are wives. So there is husband and wife relationship is there. So we can easily understand this principle by understanding this husband and wife relationship. Let's say there is a fight between husband and wife. They can even avoid talking to each other. The husband may not talk to wife may not talk to husband, and they may not even share intimate relationship during this fight, during this disagreement. But because of this frustration, because of this disagreement, if they go and develop a relationship with another person, then that will become very dangerous and disgusting for the whole relationship. Then that can never be repaired. Similarly, a devotee, a bhakta may even sometimes forget due to some frustration. He may think that Bhagavan is not helping him, so he may even forget Bhagavan. But even at that stage, he should not go to someone else for help. He should not go to some other devata. So even at that dire situation, one should not go to other devatas or other materialistic persons. So that is the definition of a Bhagavata, of a Bhakta. So that principle is very, very important, and this is why in many places it is emphasized that we don't go and worship any other devatas. So that is the meaning, explanation, detailed explanation for 64th Sutram, and all of these are explained in the context of Ukaram. Ukaram being the exclusive devotion, exclusive servitude towards Bhagavan only and nobody else. And again, Bhagavan includes Bhagavan, Mahalakshmi Tayar and Bhagavatas, Bhagavan's dear devotees. So that is 64th Sutram. Now finally 65th Sutram. This is the final Sutram in the section explaining the Ukaram. Here in the introduction, Mamnigal explains, now here the point which is being explained here is, we have seen that Atma is not a servitor for others. It is servitor only for Bhagavan. We have seen that. Now there is another important concept which also need to be emphasized here. Atma cannot see its own self-interest also. Atma cannot be a servitor for self. And that principle is explained here in this Sutram, 65th Sutram by Pillalokacharya. Ittal Tanakkum Pirarkum Uritandri enkiradu. So not only the Atma does not exist for others, that is other materialistic entities, Atma does not exist for himself also. Atma only exists for Bhagavan, because one may think that, okay, I am not a servitor of others, but I can see my own joy, I can see my own self-interest, I can only look after my own interest, I cannot be servitor of Bhagavan. So one may go to that stage as well. So here Pillalokacharya is highlighting that that particular concept can also be present. So that is the simple meaning for 65th Sutram. Let us see Mamnigal's commentary. So this Ukara, which is eliminating the servitude of Atma towards others, it is also eliminating the servitude of Atma towards self. Because just like others, when we see in context of Bhagavan, Atma is also another person. So in front of Bhagavan, Atma is just the same as anyone else. The self is the same as anyone else. So in front of Bhagavan, the self, Atma, cannot see the welfare, cannot see the joy of the individual also, cannot see the self, cannot see the interest of the self as well, just as he does not see the interest, just as he does not serve the other Atmas, he cannot serve his own interest as well. He must be only focusing on serving Bhagavan. So this particular Atma does not exist for others, and he does not exist, he is not existing for himself as well. He is existing only for Bhagavan. So with this, Ukarartham is fully explained by Pillalokacharya. In the subsequent sections, we will see Makarartham. With this, we will stop today and we will continue on in the next session. Alvar Emberumanar, Jiyar Tiruvadigalai Sharanam, Jiyar Tiruvadigalai Sharanam.
To learn such valuable information about our Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, please download Koyil, K-O-Y-I-L app from Google Play Store or Apple App Store. Our website is koyil.org, Koyil.org.